Hello, everybody. Nicholas Natt, and you are tuned into the Natt Fitness Method.
You crazy mother.
If you're here because you believe in fitness and optimization of your life, but you guys also understand that having the strategies and the skills is only part of it. So our goal with the show and company are to be able to find the ways to execute on those strategies and skills that can help you take whatever it is you're trying to do from A to B. Coming to the States at the age of 19, he really understood the passion behind fitness and rugby, but not really sure exactly how he was going to be able to move himself to a more capable position to be able to accomplish his dreams of servitude, connecting and staying in sports, and also finding his way of having to learn English, having never spoken before. He was quickly able to position himself and find different ways of being able to elevate and provide opportunities to be connected with some of the most resourceful people in the health and wellness space. So I'd like to introduce you to my friend Shin. Shin, thanks for coming on out. Absolutely.
Good seeing you.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
Shin, your story is fascinating, and again, I was excited to tell everyone about just how well we were able to connect and hear about your whole journey. So it's really cool to hear a lot about how you grew up. If we can start with that, because again, so many people watch the show, and I think that it's very easy for a person to understand when they grow up at least similarly. And your background, how you grew up, is very different because you talked about this being on the precipice or the end of the Cold War out in Tokyo, Japan, and you're basically living between, at the time, Soviet Union embassy, and then the United States embassy.
Yeah, right.
And you had friends who could not speak their native language to each other, but they could speak Japanese to each other, but they're on opposing sides.
Yes.
So what was that like growing up?
Oh, it was very surreal. It's different. But also you can tell, just the way they carry themselves, you can tell, oh, those guys are Russians, oh, those guys are Americans, oh, those guys are Kiwis, those guys are Europeans. It's an obvious difference.
You said it was a very homogenous blend internationally, so
Right.
you grew up and had a chance to really have a very eclectic approach to getting a lot of perspective from a very early age. And not just you, your twin brother, you're actually a twin, right?
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
what is that like growing up in such a central part of the world like Tokyo, and having all of these blends and cultures around this time?
Right. Definitely my environment is so unique compared to, say, the rest of Japan, right? And so having that type of environment, and then I was living in it, makes me curious. Made me curious about the world so much. So definitely I wanted to get out somewhere, not just instead of living in Japan. So that early age I wanted to be somewhere.
And you actually had neighbors who were from Boulder.
Yeah,
They
correct.
always spoke Japanese to you.
Yep.
And so, we had the story, and what I found fascinating about it was you were interested in going and playing rugby because you played rugby, you're an athlete,
Growing
right?
up, yes.
And then from going and playing rugby, you decided you were going to New Zealand
Right.
and possibly do more.
Right.
And your mom was like, no.
No.
She was
She
not
was not
having
having
it.
it.
She
No,
was not having it.
absolutely
Okay.
not, yeah.
Awesome. So from that, your neighbors had found out that you had this curiosity and were wanting to get out into the world. And so how did that seed that was planted from them end up getting you eventually here to the States?
So they heard about me having fits with my mom. Say, I want to go down to New Zealand playing, rugby and being a rugby mom, and she wasn't having it. And Bob and Karen, they're the couple. So they basically sort of heard about that and then approached us and said, well, why doesn't Shin go to the United States? Go to Boulder. Boulder's a great place to be. And you can still play rugby, right? But also, getting degrees, and not that, New Zealand doesn't, offers the academic opportunities, but U.S. is a lot more easier to do these things, there's a lot more opportunities. And then, you're already curious about the world, so that's the opportunity. So that was when my mom was like, okay, all right, maybe that might be the case rather than going to New Zealand. And so that's when I was like, oh, maybe I can do that.
You really was limited. It was either sports, conditioning coach, right, specialist, or physical therapy, or personal training was that?
Right.
That was fundamentally it. It was just those three options, right?
Right.
How did you find tranquility within yourself to stay and continue being patient and let the opportunity find you, as opposed to going out and compromising and just going into the medical field or going into law or going into finance or engineering or any of these things?
Basically, my intent was to serve others. That's just the number one priority for me. And I think that's the cultural background that I was raised, just serving others and for serving for the cause of others, basically, or somebody else's wellness. And then, but also, I was so fascinated by how body functions. How could I connect those two? And so that was always the basis for me to just stick with what I was trying to do. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, when, long story short, this is kind of a cool opportunity because you talked about how the dots really connected and how, that opened up an opportunity for you to go and be the m.a.t. specialist for South Metro Fire Department.
Yeah.
And you've been there how long now?
A little over 2 years.
2 years now, right? And so, you've been there and you really kind of started and cultivated the relationships there and been able to help, our service industry out here in Colorado. But then you were able to connect with the Denver Sports Recovery family, again, which is how we met. And how did that happen? How did all this basically come to fruition?
Right. So I had this particular set of skill that I wanted to be able to utilize it as the m.a.t. specialist. But how am I going to be able to do that? And then, so again, just one event led to another. So one of my friends, he went back to school for law school, but he used to be a firefighter at the South Metro Fire. So he was the one asking me, hey, what if you connect with the head of the wellness clinic or sports medicine clinic for the South Metro Fire, who was also athletic trainer for the Denver Broncos. And the m.a.t. founder works with Denver Broncos as a consultant. So they know all about what m.a.t. is. So I connected it with them, and then eventually long story short, I was able to start volunteering for them for a little bit. And then one day I was just sort of working, and then so my boss was talking with another person who was actually, technically speaking, owner of the Denver Sports Recovery. At that time I didn't know, but he was also, at that time, he was a chiropractor and consultant for the Denver Broncos as well. And then so he was talking, and then he goes, our Denver muscle activation techniques specialist left at the Denver Sports Recovery. Trey, do you know anybody who does m.a.t.? So I was just right behind him. So, and then I was working, and then so Trey looks at me and say, he's right behind you. And then that was when I connected with Sean, who is the head of the Denver Sports Recovery, and that's how I got the job.
No, I find the story fascinating. I want to talk a little bit about m.a.t. As a whole, because there's a lot of people, and before we actually did the show, you had a chance to work on one of the members for Rocky Mountain Flex Fitness, Kevin. I'm sure he wouldn't mind us name dropping right now. But Kevin's had a lot of shoulder injuries and dislocations and things like that. And again, his fascination with rugby and bodybuilding and doing some of these other things. It's he came and saw you and was talking about some of the benefits. And so I think, for people who don't know what m.a.t. is or the benefits of m.a.t. or ART, what is that? Like, why is that important to anyone, whether they're an athlete or just, day to day?
The m.a.t., the muscle activation techniques, they could be utilized for any situation, a lot of different diverse situations, but really is just to activate the muscles that are not firing appropriately. A lot of times you'll say you work out so hard to put a load on certain awkward manners, to be sitting down too long, to say you're having a stressful days, so anything that basically the body doesn't, anything that body feels like, I don't know if I can handle this, right? That becomes a stress. And that'll shut the muscle down like a circuit breaker. So when things are shut down, you lock out.
Right.
And then you just, not just, people think that, oh, maybe just simply just the tissues are tight. That's stress. But what if you're tight enough to protect it? That's when that your muscle inhibition shows up.
Right.
So my job is to, oh, this is locking up. That means your body is not stable. They're just protecting it for the instability. Body recognizes the instability, and so they are again kind of raise themselves up to protect it. So my job is to, okay, this is not doing the job. Let's put the jumper cable on and then get it fired.
Get it firing again.
Yeah.
Now, if a person has instability,
Right.
whether they're an athlete, and this is more, catered towards performance or optimization, or they're going in day to day because they have health goals, they want to lose weight, they want to get into shape, or they want to build, or day to day when people sit at their desk for an enormous amount of time. It's not designed to just focus on athletes whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, a lot of that is obviously in the space where people are in fitness or athletes are more aware of it because of the issues we talked about
Right.
that hinder performance and shut down that communication between the brain and body.
That's correct.
But for you, it's really, you found that it is for everybody. This is
For
something
everybody,
that's-
yes.
What would you definitely recommend for, I'd say the average Joe? Maybe this is somebody who, works out, they're trying to get in shape, they're working through injuries, whether it be issues with their hips, lower back, knees, and, they sort of train on it, and around it, but then an issue sort of picks up, maybe with their chest or their back or something, and they don't know how to resolve that, so they start taking a lot of pain pills to try to offset that.
Right.
What would you definitely recommend for them?
So again, you can definitely have your symptoms there, right? So you want to definitely take care of the symptom, but at the same time, what's really causing you to have that particular, whatever the ailment that you're dealing with, right?
Right.
So a lot of times, if you have some pain going on, imagine you have a sandwich, right? And
Right.
then you create a panini, right?
Right.
So panini machine will compress it, right? And create the heat, and then
Right.
here you go, there is the panini, right?
Right.
When muscle shuts down, it's gonna compress the joint because muscles are not providing a suspension like we talked about before, right? So then that joint will crash down on each other. So something like a disc problem, right? When you're bulging disc, right? Your joints will crash down on each other because they are not suspending the force, right? So they are creating a panini, right? And then that panini create the heat to press even harder, right? So that creates the inflammation. And inflammation creates the pain response. And that creates the inhibitory muscular system. Looking at the muscular system, are they suspending that joint? Are they, do they have the right joint function to stabilize it? Because otherwise, it's things that can collapse down on it. And that's when the things lock up on it and you have a lot of pain.
You really go and try to attack the problem at source.
That's correct.
Right. More with soft tissue.
Right.
Right. No, fascinating, man. Fascinating. And so, I mean, it's really amazing to be able to do that, and I'm excited to get a chance to work. Again, we've already done some work together, but
Yeah.
get a chance to work again
Yeah.
and show everybody again what that was really like. So, really quick, for people who have this curiosity behind m.a.t, want to learn more about it, learn more about what that can do for them if they have questions, or if they possibly want to come in and get a session, how can they connect and find you?
You can contact where I work is at Denver Sports Recovery, so you can go to www.denversportsrecovery.com and go from there.
Go from there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Last question, Shin. What is the impact that you want to have on the world regarding m.a.t?
I just want to help people, and I think people don't realize it. Whether you are upcoming athletes to aging adult, muscle contraction is a big deal. I think people forget about the fact that people having all these elements because muscle functions are not there, right? So that's why people getting say knee replacement, hip replacement, because muscular system is not functioning appropriately. That's why they're getting it out. So why not strengthening and activating the neuromuscular system appropriately and efficiently? That way you can make them healthy. And then you're healthier, you're happier. So I think what I'm doing, again, it's not everything, but I think it contribute to the people's wellness through the neuromuscular contractile efficiency, which is
Awesome. Shin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
We appreciate this. I hope that you guys have been able to learn some fascinating information, not just about m.a.t. and a.r.t. in the beautiful way that Shin's been able to explain it, but also about cultivating passion and about mindset and staying loyal and doing the things that are native to you. I want to thank you for also connecting with me. We are more than happy to take on any questions you might have for our Q&A, or if you want to connect with us on our other media, feel free to come and find me and connect with me on any of my media platforms. And if you are interested in joining our newsletter and sending me any of your questions or connecting, you can do so by going to www.nattfitness.com and clicking and signing up for my ebook, Abs, Energy, and Confidence. Until then, my friends, be legendary.